we're talking about materialism, the idea that our mental life emerges from our physical brain. If you listen closely, if you're thinking about this, I hope you acknowledge that these are odd and natural view. I don't expect you to believe it, at least not at first. And in fact, for the most part, people are far more attracted to doctrine called dualism. Dualism is that idea that's been found in just about every religion and every philosophy. It's made explicit in Plato, for instance, but I think the most thoughtful and articulate member of dualism was their philosopher René Descartes. Descartes believed that animals were material things. He found that the doctrine of materialism was correct about non-human animals. But humans are different, Descartes argued. For humans, there's a duality. We possess two sorts of things. We are composed of two sorts of things. We are in part material, but we are also in part spiritual, separate, mental, psychological. In some ways it does reduce to the material. He made two arguments for this, and then both reasonably good arguments, at least quite persuasive as his time, and he persuaded many people, and continued to persuade many people. The first argument for non-material nature is that humans are capable of doing things that machine, no material entity even called. So, it might surprise you to hear this, but Descartes in the 17th century was familiar with robots. You hear about the French Rhone Gardens, which is like a 17th century Disneyland or Euro Disney, which had robots that reach when you approach them or when you step on certain stones. For instance, you might approach Diana and then Neptune will jump out from the bush and hold it and trident. This was done not with electricity, but with water. So, Descartes knew about the robots, and Descartes asked, well, maybe we such things. Maybe we just machines responding to the environment. And he said that we can't be. He said maybe animals, non-human animals can be, but human behavior is far more complicated and variegated and subtle to be explained in such simple ways. We'll return to this point later on the course when we talk about Noam Chomsky and Noam Chomsky's critique of behaviorism, which argued that basically humans respond in a relatively reflexive way to environmental stimuli. Descartes, along with Chomsky, said, that can't be. Our behaviors are too complicated for that, so we can't be machines. His second argument is probably better now, and is based off intuition, and his claim was we don't feel like bodies. So, to put it more technically, he applied what was called a method of doubt. He asked the question, what do we know for sure, and what can we question? So, for instance, you might believe your weapons is such and so place, and can be wrong, and can be deceived. You might believe that they are thousands of millions of years old, but maybe they are of created 100 years old, and all the memories that your grandfathers had of the past we just manufactured. You might believe, said Descartes, that you live in a world of things, that you are sitting on a chair and there a world in front of you, there's a computer near your hands. But Descartes observed that we often believe such things when we in dreams, but when mistaken. He observed that people who are mentally ill or were deranged in some way might have such beliefs, but don't be mistaken. So we call beyond that is a physical world around you. You call beyond that is body that you have. This is an ancient concept, of course, but it's best articulated in the movie, The Matrix, which mentions that we think we run around their physical world, but actually, with the like expression of our heroes like Neo and Trinity, we actually just plugged into some sort of system. Another version of this is that we are brains in a weight. If you weigh a brain, just a brain sitting in weight with electron, we are stimulating expressions or called help. Maybe you are scientist things. Modern day philosopher, for instance, we argue that there ain't exchange there with simulation with computer simulation. So Descartes and people following Descartes said, that's all we can't be sure of. They think that we seemingly feel confident about in the real world can't be shaken. But Descartes said, there's one thing you can't doubt. You can't doubt of our own consciousness. You can't doubt your existence. The famous lie is, I think, therefore I am. And spilling out this intonation building for the fact of you can't doubt that you have a body, but you can't doubt that you have a mind. Descartes wrote, I knew that there was substance, there was a sense of nature of which is to think, and that for its extent there is need of any place and thus independent in a material thing. That is to say, the soul by which I am what I am, I entirely distinct from body. So, that's a philosophically cast for dualism. But as outside dualism is also a measure of common sense. Think about how you describe your body. You describe your bodies if you possess it. My arm, my hand, my body, my brains, and is something separate for you that you have. Or consider your intention about personality identity. So typically is people age, their constitution follows their body. So I get 10 years older, my mind 10 years older, my brain is 10 years older, and all connect together, but variously aspect and least infections that people can hope from one body to another. There are many commentaries that involve bodies feeding body swarms. There are movies that involve somebody going to sleep one morning as a person and working as another. We understand their fictions, they aren't ideal, but they make sense to us. They are intuitive relation to this. We don't walk out there early and say, I'm totally confused what's happening there. Rather listen with our night confession of the self. We expect to listen to the possibility that you can't hop from one body to another. None of this is limited to modern day movies. The most famous short story of history by Franz Kafka begins with the sentence, as Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from incest dreams, he found himself transformed in his being into Gigant's insect. Metamorphosis involves their transformation and long before they use their characters are transformed. So all their characters are transformed by and will reach into pigs. It's not of you talk to people or turn them into pigs, rather it's much worse. They pattern as a body of peaks as the passage goes. They head and voice and bristles and body outline, but their minds remain as hard as before, so their way bends their weapon. On conception, their bodies and color are separate, allows us to ask an idea you had many people inhabiting one body. This is how many people think about military personality discarded. Some will get to quite let out their course. It's also the root of the wave was that many people, both religion and non-religion, hold with the idea of demonic possession. If body can be taken over by somebody else. Another manifestation of dualism is the occult belief in intelligence begins without bodies. If mind and body are separate, it raises the possibility you could have without the other. Finally, you got to have bodies without minds. That's what a corpse is, but the arguments classical also have minds without bodies. This is for instance what many people think about ghosts of angels, which other immaterial beings are that can think, that can obsess, that can act, but they don't have physical bodies in the same sense that we do. Similarly, and maybe most important for people, the idea that of dualism, the idea you are not your physical body, raises what must be Romania and incredibly appealing consequence, which is that you can survive the destruction of the body. In fact, if you ask most people, religion and not religion, what will happen after your body is destroyed? The answer are no well. And indeed then that's it. Is the end of things, but rather as belief that you can't live on. Maybe you will end up on some spirit world. Maybe you will ask after heaven. If you're unlucky, maybe you will descend to well. Maybe you occupy some other body than reincarnation, but the idea is that the destruction of your body need not be no destruction of you because you are not your body. All of them believe their beliefs about personality and identity, their beliefs about life after death, about the existence of supernatural beings, about God. All rest on least to some extent on a dualism perspective. So, materialism, which say dualism is just plain wrong is an abduction view and should be treated as such. You shouldn't just shrug and write it down. You should grapple with it. You should worry about it. You should rather be frankly experiment our fights against it. Why are modern day psychologists and neuroscientists so confident that dualism is mistaken? Well, there are real problems with it. Oh, it simply doesn't help us explain central things that need to be explained. Applying to immaterial world to immaterial so seem to dark central questions that really do descend on elsewhere. So, throughout these cons will ask questions like how would be the learn language? What do we find sexually attractive? How does memory work? There's a question about ourselves, about our minds. To say, oh, it'll happen, say, immaterial realm, lives and hopeless when it comes to answering them. The second concern that at the time Descartes was correct to infer for the limitation of physical things, that we probably are not physical things, but by now we have a much better understand why physical things get which make it entirely possible for many of us that we are sent things. So, I think an instance of computer and robots. For Descartes, the idea that a physical thing can do something and complicated as play a game of chess will seem logical. But now, of course, we know these psychological things, and if you're looking at a computer, you are looking at such psychological things can do exactly that. They can understand languages. They can't recognize objects. They can't store things as memory. They can make inference and so on. Now, for some other things, they don't do any harm or well as people do. So, when we talk about language development, for instance, we said that a 2-year-old child used to understand language better than any computer around. So, we need to bear that in mind, but still it's longer not to say that physical things can do all of their age and psychologically diverse or psychologically complicate these that people do. Which means that we have to talk seriously to claim that we are fact such physical things. Their final concessionals are that there are tremendous evidence that the brain in private rooms of mental life. So, by that or that psychological abstract arguments that just don't have directly evidence. To some extent, to directly evidence have always been there. You don't have to be born in the 20th or 21st century to replicate that getting hidden heart recall affect your consciousness and your memory. To replicate two diseases like syphilis and learn to description of their will and constituents. That coffee and alcohol can influence their position. Injustices are evident in everyday life that physical events that affect the brain can affect our cells, such that at the very least our mental life is intimately connected to the brain. Overacting is something that has happened with its with development technologies that allow us to look directly into the brain. Look at the brain's activities and infer patterns of the brain's actions what people are things. So, very clearly you can put somebody into a scanner and film a scanner and you could tell whether or not thinking about language or music or text. The technology and increasing there is such a bond that is not implicitly that for some you by time they're listening to this. We can pass sleeping person about famous scanner and turn out for neural patterns or neural feeling. Now with their dreaming all of I think very difficult to keep this in mind and hold on their view of dualism. I think materialists, however, and controversialists, however, inflexible and view that their science correct us to adopt.